So Trump is not even officially in office, and he seems to be already unifying the nation. Sort of. He's definitely struck a chord of agreement between the Republicans and the Democrats in Washington. I know what you're thinking. You're like, how so? Well, Donald Trump nominated Matt Gaetz as the Attorney General, and both sides are not having it.
It's just nothing but trolling. And, even the Republicans know who he is. And it's, again, we all know what, the Democratic side is going to be. That's where the interesting, the interesting answers are going to come from my colleagues on the GOP that are going to vote or justify voting for that mess.
The Matt Gaetz appointment, my reaction was that this is like the legend of Caligula, the Roman emperor, who wanted to nominate his horse as a Roman consul. You had to be a Roman senator at the time to be a consul, and it was intended to show how demeaned and degraded the Roman Senate had become.
Okay, first I need to say a few things about John Fetterman. I know it's been said before, but I think it's time. He needs to stop dressing like a man boy. I don't understand why he wants to look like a dirty college student who just rolled out of bed. That's number one. Number two, it doesn't appear that he seems to know what the term trolling means. So let me help you, Senator. Trolling is when someone posts or comments online to deliberately upset others. So, Senator Fetterman, if you're going to dress like a Gen Zer, you might want to get your lingo in order and your wardrobe. And as for Matt Gaetz, he really needs to stop putting Botox or filler or whatever it is he's putting in his face to make it look like that. He looks like Jack Nicholson from The Shining. And apparently he's just as scary, if not scarier. People seem to think, though, that this isn't going to stick. He's not going to get confirmed. It'll never happen. So to the crowd that falls under the it'll never happen category, I say Roe v. Wade. I say a woman president. Oh, wait, that still hasn't happened. Anyway, Jesse Waters at Fox News is very excited that RFK has been chosen to head up the Department of Health and Human Services.
I love RFK Jr. in this position because, Greg, we should be the healthiest country in the world, but we're the sickest country in the world. Why is America the sickest country? It shouldn't be like that. We should have the freshest food, the freshest water, and people should be excited about this.
I partially agree with Jesse Waters because the food in America is an issue. We definitely need an overhaul. But Jesse seems to have another problem with America's eating habits. Take a listen.
I'm looking forward to people losing weight. If anybody's been at the beach recently, it's not a good look. Never used to be like this, and it's because of what they're doing to the food.
I'm so sorry, Jesse. I feel badly that your summer months are not filled with eye candy and that all the people you're looking at are filled with Halloween candy. But that's not exactly top of list for why we should change the way we eat in this country. And joining him on the panel, per usual, is Greg Gutfeld, who came back with a very unexpected zinger.
Should his first target be Trump and get Trump to let go of the Big Macs?
That falls under the category of it's funny because it's true. Although it's not really that funny. It wasn't like haha funny, but it's definitely true. And of course, over at CNN, there is a difference of opinion about RFK and him taking over this new role. Take a listen.
We want in charge of scientific agencies someone who at least understands science and believes in science. But in this case, this would be somebody who has views. He questions things, which is fine. But you have to be able to believe in a scientific process that might disprove some of your views, and you have to accept those changes. And RFK Jr. has shown that he is unable to accept when his opinions, his views are debunked. And that's extremely dangerous and should be disqualifying for someone who is going to be overseeing scientists.
I do understand what Dr. Lena Wen is saying. She's also, by the way, an alarmist, if you do recall. The period between 2020 and 2022, she definitely fell on a different side of many issues where RFK was on the extreme opposite side, and I won't actually say the words associated with what I'm talking about because that will definitely raise a flag on social media. But if you've been awake over the past 4 years, you know exactly what I'm talking about. However, I'll say this, Lena Wen has actually changed her tune quite significantly since those days. She, in 2023, sort of did a mea culpa when it came to considering all sides of one particular issue. Instead of talking about everybody should march to the same rules, she said, now we know we should have considered more sides when it came to that particular issue that I'm not mentioning by name. So she walked it back after 2 straight years of staying consistent with what the White House was putting out. She started talking about the idea of alternative treatments and ideas as it would relate to what was happening during that time. But it doesn't shock me that she says RFK is a science denier. She's not the only one who thinks that way. But even the word science has become controversial due to that time frame that I'm referencing and not naming. So I don't know if someone like Lena Wen and someone like RFK and the people that follow either side could meet somewhere in the middle. I think we could get to a better place when it comes to the directives that come from the government in terms of global health. I guess that's the best way to put it. Whether or not we actually get there remains to be seen. I think I did a pretty good job of not saying the words that I'm not supposed to say. And just like in 2016, there have been many celebrities who said that they are going to leave the country if Trump were to be elected. Let's check in on how that's going.
What are we going to do without Don Lemon and Joy Reid?
Adios to them. I want to point out one thing. Eva Longoria is a complete fraud. If you read the Marie Claire article that she did, the interview that she did, she's been gone. She admits that she's been splitting time between Spain and Mexico, so she already left.
And there you have it. So far, we've got Eva Longoria, who apparently had already left the country. And as for Joy Reid from MSNBC and Don Lemon from CNN, pretty sure they're still here, but they did leave the platform X. Wow. So bold. The part about Don Lemon and Joy Reid is very misleading because it sounds like they are going to leave the country. But then again, the mainstream media is pretty misleading. Multiple headlines this week talked about how Nikki Haley refused a truce with Trump, which isn't exactly what she said. Take a listen.
His best friend, Steve Witkoff, came to our house in South Carolina, spoke to me and my husband, and basically wanted a truce between me and Donald Trump. And I told him at the time there was no truce needed, that Trump had my support. There was no issues on my end.
And this is the kind of stuff that happens, right? She said that it wasn't necessary and that she would support Trump. She just didn't want to work in the Trump administration. So check out some of these headlines. You had to actually read through the New York Post to get to the part where it was a direct quote of what she actually said. I don't know why we don't hold the media to a higher standard than this. And in both a funny and serious turn of events, the satirical news publication The Onion has purchased InfoWars, which is the brain fart of conspiracy theorist Alex Jones.
Satirical news site The Onion has just won an auction to acquire the media outlet InfoWars. Right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. The Onion's bid was backed by the families of 8 victims of the Sandy Hook school shooting, the very people that Jones defamed.
The Connecticut Democrats with the Onion newspaper bought us. They asked, did they outbid? They said, well, it was competitive. So they changed all the bidding rules, made it secret 2 days ago. I had a bad feeling I told you that. And just like they tried to shut us down back in late May without a court order, they're supposed to have a court order. There's going to be injunctions filed. I'm about to go live out of Harrison's American Journal studio.
Jones, as you may know, has made a living off of spreading lies and disinformation. But after being hit with a judgment of over $1 billion in the lawsuit that was brought on by the families of Sandy Hook, Jones wasn't exactly able to pay his bills.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to be here until they come in here and turn the lights off.
The Onion has assumed all of InfoWars assets, including media archives and equipment. The families are going to get paid. It's a win-win. But it's still a question as to what the Onion will actually do here. And they can do anything they want, really. They could sit down tomorrow and start broadcasting. My hope is that they keep the studio and they use it as a leg of their satire, because that's exactly what the country needs. They need to dial down on the crazy and they need to dial up on the funny. So we'll see what happens there. Out of the gate, I would definitely mock the former owner of that platform. And then I would never speak of him again, because if there's anything this country needs less of, and when I say less of, I mean zero of, it's Alex Jones. And did you know that today, which is November 15th, is National Raisin Bran Cereal Day, which I think is very fitting, because given all that we just talked about, the government and the mainstream media is in desperate need of an enema.